ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਡੇਵਿਡ ਈਬੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਸਾਡੇ ਬਿਊਟੀਫੁਲ ਬ੍ਰਿਟਿਸ਼ ਕੋਲੰਬੀਆ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਨੇ। ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਾਣ ਵਾਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਆਮ ਸਿਆਸਤਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਹਟ ਕੇ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੋਏਗੀ। ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਈਬੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ। Mr. Eby, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, welcome to the studio.
That's very cool. Good to see you, Dr. Romana. Good to talk to you.
You know, I know you for many years now. You used to be, I think, just a fresh graduate from UBC.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was thinking about that on the way over. We've done interviews for a long time together. My wife, when we were dating, there was the name of one reporter she knew. She's like, "Oh, you're talking to Dr. Romana again."
Yeah, well, that's a compliment. So, I think first thing I want to ask you is what was your teenage life like? Like when you just were in the university or you graduated from the university, being a son of injury claim lawyer and a teacher, your mama was teacher.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking, what were you doing at that time?
Well, there were 4 kids in my family growing up, 2 brothers and a sister of mine. And I had a really great childhood growing up. You know, I grew up in the suburbs and my dad was very involved in the community. He coached sports teams we played on, baseball and hockey, and my mom was a teacher and then a principal, so she was very good with the 4 kids. Everybody treated very fairly, equal treatment, good discipline at home. And for me, you know, in high school I played a lot of sports. I played football and basketball. And like most people, just try to survive high school. My interests were music. I've always enjoyed music, playing music and listening to music, and just hanging with my friends. It was a great growing up. It's the kind of thing that I want for everybody in the province.
Thanks for reminding me. I almost forgot that you sing as well.
Well, you know, I'm cursed because I love to sing, but I'm not very good at it. So
I'll help you today.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I don't think there'll be any performances today, Dr. Romana.
When you became a lawyer, then I remember the first interviews we had together on the radio. You used to work on downtown East Side.
That's right.
And very busy in civil liberties and Pivot Legal Society, I guess, in those days. Tell me a little bit. What did you learn? What was your dreams in those days?
Well, I remember my first visit to Vancouver, which was in about when I moved here in about 2001, and being in the downtown east side for the first time and saying, I just can't believe that this happens in Canada. I've never seen anything like it. And it was clear to me that that's where I needed to do my legal practice. And to address some of the issues down there, and so for me, I was very focused on housing issues and people being kicked out of their homes and becoming homeless and the condition of housing that people lived in, and that's what ultimately did bring me to politics. But it was just the unfair treatment, in my opinion, of the people who were living down there at the time.
So were you going to the politicians and kind of advocacy for those homeless people and people who are not living a very good life those days?
That's right. Yeah, I was at City Hall a lot, specifically, because I thought there were some things the city could do about the conditions in the buildings that would stop them from being condemned, that would improve the quality of life, that the laws already existed. And I went again and again to City Hall and they wouldn't do the basic things that I thought they should be doing. So finally I said, okay, I'm going to run for City Council. I ran for nomination in 2008, with Vision Vancouver then. There was a brand new political party just starting. I ran for nomination at that time.
So you already started treading in a political arena in those days. So were you thinking in the back of your mind to be in active politics as well?
You know, it was really just out of frustration with politicians that I ran. And the reason, you know, my legal practice was about suing to make sure that politicians did the right thing. That's why I went to law school, is to sue politicians, not to become one. And I realized that, and it sounds kind of naive, but I realized that the people who write the laws, you know, have a significant amount of power, because the lawyers who try to enforce it, they're using the laws that are written. So who's writing the laws and why do they write them the way they do? Are they writing them to protect people or for some other reason? And so that's why I was interested. I wanted the city to use the laws they had. I wanted the city to write good laws. And it just felt like nobody was listening, and they didn't even understand the authority they had. the city councilors, and it was very frustrating. So that's what made me think about politics. And then I ran once and did much better than I expected. I came very close to being nominated. And then once you do that once, people start calling you, oh, you're interested in running for politics, there's an election here, there's an election there, run for us here, run for us there. But the one call that got me was 2011 to run against Christy Clark in Vancouver Point Grey. And that was my first real serious run.
That's the history.
Yes, that's right, and here I am today, yes.
No, nobody could have known you from first day you entered in politics, you MLA or minister. I used to talk a lot about your being a housing minister or being a attorney general, especially your dumpster fire and all those great decisions and a noble approach that you had. That was your plan, or that they just happened to you?
Yeah, the interesting thing about politics, Dr. Romana, is you go in thinking that you're going to be working on certain things, and then you actually have to work on the things that life puts in front of you as well. So I didn't go into the AG office thinking that the Premier called me and he said, would you like to be Attorney General? John Horgan called me, and I was like, and that's all I heard. I was like, oh yeah, of course, that would be the honor of my life. But he also said ICBC and BC Lottery Corporation. And I thought, those things, they kind of run themselves, and I'll be focused mostly on the Attorney General piece. But I ended up, ICBC was losing billions of dollars, and we were looking at massive rate increases, and BC Lottery Corporation was overseeing a system where people could bring in bags of money to casinos without any adequate oversight, just saying, no, we're not going to accept this money that's obviously from crime. And so I ended up working on a bunch of other things that I didn't expect. But the people of BC gave me the space to be able to take a few swings at addressing those issues, and we got it to a place that was good with ICBC, with the rate reductions, 20% for families, and with BC Lottery Corporation stopping those cash flows.
We'll save the political questions later on somewhere, but I'm definitely interested to find out from you, being a premier of this province, being a very busy politician, where does that activist in you reside nowadays?
Yeah, I can't think of better training for this job than the training I had. Law school, because law is the language of politics, like how the laws are written, what words you use really matter, and understanding how the courts work and the relationship between government and the courts if you actually want to get something done. And then the other part was talking with people and helping them understand the process and pushing back against unfair systems for people. So it's still very much in my heart. About making sure that I'm not trying to explain to people, oh, well, this is the government, this is how it's supposed to work, you need to understand that. Instead, taking the voice of people saying, oh, this is how you think government should work, this is how government should help you, then I'm the guy to help you get that from the government, to make sure that government is delivering that for you. And even today, I hear from a family, I did an announcement with this family who lost a son in Prince George because of online extortion. And for that family, I still want to be that person that supports them, making sure their son's life results in a legacy of protecting other kids, and that the system, the government, supports this family's work to protect other kids. That's where I really find my energy for this job.
And you're apart from being a busy politician, you have a little family, a young family.
I do, yeah.
And your busy schedule and everything. How do you balance everything? That's a kind of definitely want to know from you, because politicians all are busy, but your background, being a lawyer, being an activist, and a family man, and a very active, dynamic politician. How do you balance it? Is it a kind of skill that you already all the time you had it?
Well, it's a work in progress. I think a lot of your listeners will identify with, work has a lot of demands. You have to do travel. People, maybe they drive a truck, maybe they run a business, they've got long hours, they've got the kids in the back room, while they're doing their jobs. As a family, you make it work. And one thing that I'm so fortunate is my wife just really, we're a team. We work together. We have a shared vision for what we want for our family. We've got a 9-year-old boy, Ezra, 4-year-old girl, Iva, and a new baby coming at the end of June. And we support each other. I supported her in going back to med school to become a doctor, and she's supporting me in this project. And we pull together as a family, and I'm so I couldn't do it without her.
We share something, by the way. My daughter's name starts with E.
Yes.
And my son's name starts with I.
It's all about the vowels, Dr.
Ekam and Iman. So, I think you're the best person to give advice to the wannabe politicians. What are the challenges of being a busy politician? And your better half, like you said, she supports you. But I come from a political family too. But those politicians back home, they were like young politicians, they're 60, 65, 70, they're still young. They never resign, they're always active. Whereas in Canadian political culture, I see people at the federal level or provincial level, they're done doing everything what they had plans at 50, 55 at the most, and say, well, thank you very much, we are busy with our families and all that.
Yes.
So your message for the wannabe politicians?
I think the key for me, and I don't know if it's the case for everybody, is you have to be connected to the actual people. Each job that I've been in, it feels like it's more and more designed to prevent contact with the people who are affected by the policies. The Premier's office is the most extreme. There's staff, and there's security, and there's process, and there's to prevent you from hearing from frontline people. And so it's so important from the very beginning of your career to ground yourself in the voices of the people in the community, to have that base that's actual people. And otherwise, if your base is people in political parties or lobbyists or kind of like some rich person thinks that you would do a good job, it is really hard to stay true to doing a good job. It's got to be grounded in the people. And so start the right way, start how you want to finish. Make sure you have a group of people who's supporting you that's diverse, and you're in it for those reasons, and then they can help keep you grounded through the whole career.
And lastly, how often do you get a brief about the issues being discussed on South Asian media, Punjabi media, which has grown a lot in the last few decades? And nowadays we almost cover everything, federal, provincial or local governments and everything. This kind of political question, but I just want to find out from you, Premier of our province, how often do you care about issues being discussed on South Asian media?
Yeah, every day. I get a daily briefing on media, which includes ethnic media issues that are raised. And one of the reasons why I really value the briefings, particularly on what's being discussed on the multi-ethnic radio stations, is these stations feel particularly connected, as I was just saying, connected to the community. The direct line between the voice of the person that has the experience and the host is closer than in any other type of media, except where people are publishing their own opinions on social media. And that's why I find it particularly helpful, the trust that these stations have with key communities in our province. And they're also communities whose voices are not heard in other places. They're not maybe captured in a poll, they're not captured in an opinion survey or writing letters or whatever. It's really the main source of information for some particular community groups.
So I just want to thank you on behalf of the management, and it's kind of a privilege for us that you came to the studio today and find time for us. Anything that I didn't ask, you want to still say something that's in your top of your mind, you can talk directly to our listeners.
Sure. Well, let me just say first, Dr. Romana, the privilege is mine. It's an honor to be here with you. You have done so much work for the community for so many years, and Radio Sher E Punjab, such important work. I'm really glad to be able to do this with you, and to all the Radio Sher E Punjab listeners and fans of Dr. Romana. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and it's the honor of my life to be your premier. Please share your thoughts, feelings, opinions, suggestions with Dr. Romana, with me, so we can make sure British Columbia is the kind of province where everyone can build a good life.
ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸੀ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ, ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਸੀਗੀ ਅੱਜ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੈਰ ਸਿਆਸੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰੀਏ, ਔਰ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਭਾਗ ਨੇ, ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਕੰਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਸੂਬੇ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਮੁੱਖ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ 'ਚ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਔਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੋਨੀਟਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਬਕਾਇਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਡੈਡੀਕੇਟਡ ਸਟਾਫ ਹੈਗਾ, ਔਰ ਇਹ ਚੰਗੇ ਭਾਗ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ. ਦੇयर ਵਾਸ ਅ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੈਟ ਵੀ ਵਰ ਸਟਰਗਲਿੰਗ, ਬਟ ਨਾਓ ਡੇਜ਼ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਵਾਸਤੇ, ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਕੰਪਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਹੈ. ਅੱਜ ਲਈ ਇੰਨਾ ਹੀ ਕਾਫੀ. ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ.